Good morning to all you Broncos fans out there. Welcome to Legends of Mile High. I'm your host, Thomas Hall, and I'm coming at you a little early today, so I apologize for the earlier than normal hour, but I am traveling, so as you can tell, I'm not in my studio, but I'm still wanting to bring you some content about the Denver Broncos. So join in and ask any questions in the chat, and we will get going. But before I start, the topic I really want to talk about today is Greg Dulcich, right? The comments by Sean Payton about Greg Dulcich, and they were pretty telling, even though he tried a little bit to hide his enthusiasm. But before we go into that, before we start, I just want to talk a little bit about Russell Wilson. Now, Russell Wilson took a lot of heat last year, and they continue to pile on and pile on. And now we've got another talking head out there who's from the Bill Parcells tree and has some credibility, talking about how he's fighting for his job. Well, first of all, everybody's fighting for their job in the NFL. It doesn't matter if you're future Hall of Famer or not. I remember when Jerry Rice came to the Denver Broncos trying to hold on to one more year, and he didn't make it out of training camp. He wasn't good enough, right, to play in the first three wide receivers. So he didn't want to play special teams. So everybody's fighting for their job. So it's really not hard to make that comment. But the problem that I have with it is everybody's spelling his doom, right? Everybody's saying he's done, he's washed. But the facts really don't point to that, in my opinion. And there's three things that you can look at. One, was he elite before the injury, right? Yes, or before this last season. He was he elite? Yes, he was. If you look at his numbers adjusted for era compared to other Hall of Famers, he's right in the mix of those Hall of Fame type players. So he was elite before. Then the second question is, did he sustain a major injury? One that will debilitate you over time. And I'm talking about Peyton Manning's neck. I'm talking about Dan Marino's Achilles tear, Dan Fouts' knees finally giving out on him. He did not suffer a major injury. He's had some nagging injuries, definitely, where he's missed a couple games, but none of those are so bad that it's going to deteriorate his play over the next couple of years to where he can no longer play at a high level. So that tells me that it's not injury related. And then the last thing you have to ask yourself is, what really caused last year's kind of drop in production? Was it his loss of skill or other things, other factors? Now, you could say that it's his loss of skill, that he wasn't playing like he used to, but you really can point to the offense and the mix of what they decided to do that really caused his down year. He wasn't playing in an offense that he needed to play in. He had a coach that didn't know what he was doing in over his head. And those are all factors that caused this down year. So before everybody spells out his doom and that he's fighting for his job and he may not be employed this next year, you have to ask yourself those three questions. And if you can answer them honestly, you can say he's due for a bounce back year. So I really hope that once the season starts, we can put these washed comments away, and Russell Wilson shows that he is capable of playing at a high level again. So that's my little rant on Russell Wilson and the continued onslaught for his demise. So it boggles my mind that everybody's really hoping that he continues to fall, but I don't think he will. He'll have a bounce back year. So let's jump into the chat, see who's here, say hello to some people this morning. We've got Dom coming in. Thank you, Dom, for being here. Really appreciate it. Saying good morning, Thomas Scott and Broncos Country, Denver Broncos for life. Thank you for jumping on a half hour early and being here with me. I really appreciate it. And we have Tim Durr coming in saying good morning, Thomas. Go Broncos. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. Kevin Peterson's also here saying, what's up, Thomas? And then we've also got Lawrence Rivera coming in saying, good morning, guys. All I got to say today is those Nuggets, man, hopefully they can take it in 4. Yeah, congratulations to the Nuggets on their first win in conference in the finals of their history. The first time they've been to the finals, first time they won a game. So congratulations to them, and thank you so much, Lawrence, for coming in this morning with Facebook stars. I really, really, really appreciate the support. And we also have Kevin Peterson coming in with a super chat. Thank you also for the support. It is much appreciated. And Kevin saying, I think Russ tanked to get Hackett canned. I said it from week 3. It's funny. Did you say this before on another show? Because I remember addressing this a while back, or at least somebody else said that he was tanking to get Sean Payton because he wanted to play with Sean Payton. Now, I don't know. That's some high level chess playing right there. If he's tanking the season in order to get a coach that he wants, I'm not sure about that. He may not have liked Hackett. It seems like all the players did like him, but he just was in over his head. Now, maybe Russell Wilson saw that and was like, I want a different coach, so let's do it. But I mean, it's an interesting tactic to say the least, but it's one that could have easily backfired, but it didn't. He got Sean Payton. He's wanted to work with Sean Payton. So if that is true, as you point out, Kevin, and I appreciate the comment and the support, that's a pretty amazing chess playing, thinking far ahead in Russell Wilson's part. So thank you for coming in there. I really appreciate it. Now, I want to grab this comment from Dom saying, I love the energy after seeing the presser yesterday. And that's what I kind of want to talk about, in particular, Greg Dulcich, right? Sean Payton had some serious praise, even though he kind of tried to couch it at the last to kind of, oh, well, young player, I don't want to kind of, sing too much of his praises, but we've got the video queued up and ready to go. So let's watch that, and then we'll talk about it.
Well, look, he's got unique skill set. He's got traits in the passing game. We use the term joker, where we can get matchups. The trick sometimes is trying to predict what you're going to get defensively, if you're going to get a nickel package or a base package. But man, he can run. He's got good ball skills, and he had one of his better practices today. So then you begin to build on that. And right now there's an install that's taken place, and the players they go play those spots. And when you get into the season, you really get more specific to who's running what route. And I think his menu is going to be lengthy in the passing game, and there's enough stuff that we can do in the run game. I've been lucky enough to I've had Shockey and Witten, Jimmy Graham, and I'm probably leaving out a few guys, but and I'm not saying this young player, but he's got traits that are exciting, and today was one of those days where you begin to have a vision. We worked on third down today, and so the joker player for us it's not a receiver. It's either a running back or a tight end with exceptional ball skills, and then you can work matchups, and we've had that at the running back. Reggie Bush was a joker. Darren Sproles, Alvin Kamara, those were all unique players, not just in the running game, but they had passing game skill sets that allowed you to do multiple things. I think Greg does too.
Now, I'll just say Peyton is a straight shooter. He's not going to come out and be blown smoke, I don't think. So that's some pretty high praise after only seeing him in a few practices where they're not even really probably going full speed all the time. That's big praise for Greg Dulcich, right? And he mentioned his name with some seriously good tight ends, and also talking about I want to really talk about what he said about his skill set in order to create matchup nightmares. Now that's going to be huge. If he thinks that the tight end Greg Dulcich can have matchup problems and used in a special way, he's going to have a fantastic year. He's going to be their kind of secret weapon, so to speak, in a lot of those games that we see. And you're going to see somebody who is only a second-year player, if he can stay healthy, knock on wood, that is going to, kind of pop up on the out of nowhere, so to speak, right? I mean, you saw the traits as a rookie. You saw what he could do when he came back after injury, after having missed games and missed some practice time. He came out and he played really well. Now you've got the coach who, like I said, straight shooter, really singing his praises. And if he doesn't really think that, he wouldn't come out and say it. So I'm looking forward to Dulcich's year this year. He's going to have a pretty solid year, and maybe he's going to be one of those next great tight ends that the Broncos have had in the past. I don't know. I don't want to be that guy that's like jumping on the bandwagon for Greg Dulcich, but you saw the traits last year, and Sean Payton, who wouldn't come out and say anything if he didn't see it in him as well. So that bodes pretty well going forward. Now the Broncos have brought in several different tight ends, all with different skill sets. I mean, Troutman coming in with trade, with familiarity with the Saints system under Sean Payton, familiarity with Payton. You would think that he would be the tight end that Sean Payton's talking about, right? He knows who he is, but he's not. He's talking about Greg Dulcich. Now, that's pretty good. I'm looking forward. I think Dulcich is going to have one of those breakout years, and he's going to, kind of burst onto the scene, and people are going to be, whoa, where did this come from? And we all saw it right now in training camp or in OTAs coming out talking about it. So it is very interesting to see. And the Broncos have had some greats. Shannon Sharp revolutionized the tight end position, right? So, we all point to him, but there's been some other very, very good tight ends in the past. Riley Odoms should be in the Hall of Fame as well. And there's been some solid players. Clarence K is one of my favorites. But you also have some tight ends in the past that have potential that was supposed to be the next big thing that never panned out. So before we anoint him the next big thing, let's hope that he, proves it during the season. And I'm talking about, people like Orson Mobley from back in the day. Orson Mobley isn't really well known in the Denver Broncos realm. He was one of those big, tall, pretty fast for the time, and especially for his size. Was supposed to be that new tight end demon that was going to create mismatches, and he ended up being more of a blocker than anything. And I remember I hope that Sean Payton does this with Manhurts, right? Manhurts is another big, really good blocker, but Dan Reeves used to put Orson Mobley in motion and then time it so he would be hitting the hole, leading the fullback and, of course, the running back through the hole, and kind of building up a head of steam to do it. And he's like almost a 260-pound, 6'5", another offensive lineman coming through that hole. So it would be cool to see that brought back, because I always enjoyed that, especially in the running game, watching them, lead the running back through the hole. So hopefully Manhurts can do some things that are interesting as well. Kevin Peterson coming back in with a super. Thank you so much again. I can't express my gratitude for the support with all the words that are necessary, but again, thank you. Kevin Peterson's Brandon Stokely said it was a circus of a camp. Russ is a hard worker, and Nathaniel Hackett was a slouch. Of course, players like a lazy coach. Football practice sucks. Yeah, no, it's true. When I was out there at training camp, it seemed, now I don't have a lot of frame of reference. I've never been in a training camp like Brandon Stokely has and have all those different examples in the NFL, but it didn't seem like to me that they were going above and beyond, preparing as a first-year head coach, a new scheme and everything. It seemed a little lackluster, and especially offensive line coach seemed a little lackluster to me, looking at it from a distance, obviously. But you're probably right, and so is Stokely, right? I mean, we saw Russ last year working really hard in the offseason. I know he was jet setting around and places, but he was still working out wherever he went, bringing in the wide receivers early on to get some rapport with them. So I do believe that he's a hard worker, and you can tell that he's lost weight. He's putting in the work. You can see it that he is, has that work ethic. I'm not worried about the work ethic. But the that Nathaniel Hackett experience was a big issue. And you're right. He let Russell Wilson do something that he shouldn't have done. Russell Wilson and him concocted a plan that was not fitting of his skills. And that was what Russell Wilson wanted, not what he needed. And that's the real problem. So I think once you get a coach into the fold like Sean Payton, who will do what is necessary to show players what they need to do, whether what they want to do, you're going to see a different Russell Wilson, of course. So thank you for that comment, and thank you for the support. I really appreciate it. So the Denver Broncos, back to the tight ends. I think that the tight ends, I think that's going to be a very, very good weapon in Greg Dulcich. Very excited to see this tight end group playing. And I think the Broncos have a lot of receiving weapons in general, right? I think they've got plenty of wide receivers who can create out there. If Cortland Sutton can return to his form, you've got someone that can win those 50-50 balls. You've got Judy he's one of the best at getting open, getting off the press and getting open in the league, really. And if you can put them all on the same page with Russell Wilson, you've got a pretty potent passing game. And, I'm a little worried about the running game, possibly just seeing how the new offensive line melds together, right? And I know they've got some great players, right? I love Ben Powers, great pickup. The right tackle they picked up. I think they've got the makings of a really good offensive line, but offensive line has to meld together well, right? So once they meld together and get their timing down and their communication down, I think they're going to be pretty good. But that's what remains to be seen, and we won't know that until we watch them in preseason. So if they can have that continuity on the offensive line, I think the running game is going to be pretty solid. It may not be the number one rushing attack in the NFL, but it's going to be good enough to create other opportunities. So, and I think they're going to be committed to the run. So let's hope that actually happens. I might grab Jeremy, Sean. Yeah, I'm sorry, Jeremy. He says, good morning. Thomas started early on me. Yeah, I'm sorry. I've been traveling. So drove out to the New England area. I'm in Patriots country, enemy country. And it's later in the day for me. So I got to get started on some other things. So I started a little half hour early. So I apologize, Jeremy, but I really do appreciate you, jumping in here and being here with me this morning. So thank you so much. I just want to grab another Kevin Peterson comment where we were talking about wide receivers and offense. And so he's saying KJ Hamler needs to be dealt. Remember Isaiah McKenzie, high pick, fumbled, 7 punt returns. Yeah. The funny thing about that, I think KJ Hamler will be dealt. If he's healthy enough and he shows out in training camp that he can stay healthy, I think he will, because there's too many receivers on the roster right now that are like KJ Hamler. Mims can take his place. You got Montreal Washington. I know that people are down on him, but he's a young player that was a project. And, they've got enough of that type of player. So I think he will be dealt. But they also dealt Isaiah McKenzie. They let him go early, basically too early, and he actually became a pretty good player for the Buffalo Bills, and somebody that that was a not an amazing player, but was there for the Bills when, in certain situations, and was a pretty decent player. So sometimes you don't want to I think they get rid of players too early. I think they let Connor McGovern walk too soon. So there's a few that I look at and say they let him go way too early. But I don't think it's too early for KJ Hamler. I think they're going to try and get something from him in training camp if all the other wide receivers stay healthy. I mean, you got Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, Tim Patrick, you got Mims, who Cecil Lammey came on the show with us, Mile High Insiders, talking about him being the best receiver on the field during those early camps. So that's a pretty good room why would you not try to get something for one of them? And KJ Hamler being one of them, I don't know what he would bring. That's the problem. Everybody knows he can't stay healthy, so that's the problem. So I don't know what they can get from him. I'm going to grab Dan Hall saying, "Morning, Thomas. I'm in Rhode Island. Welcome to New England. Not a fan of the teams around here, though." LOL. Yeah, it's funny because I've spent almost my entire life in enemy country, right? I grew up in Oregon and moved to New England. It's like I had Seahawks fans, I had Patriots fans around me. Yeah, it's rough being in enemy territory, but yeah, it's fun. It's a nice little trip to come out here and see friends and family again. So it's nice to be out here, but luckily it's not football season, and luckily the Patriots are as good as they used to be, because that was agonizing when they were winning all the time. Man, it was rough. The best time I had out here is when the Broncos won Super Bowl 50, and I could walk around with my head held up and kind of knocking on the Patriots fans out here. All right. So I'm just, like I said, I'm out here traveling, so I'm going to cut this a little short today. I don't have a Mile High Legend. I'm going to bring it back, obviously, when I get back to my studio and things like that. So I just want to say thank you to everybody for jumping in here and saying hello this morning and bearing with me this morning and whatnot. I'm gonna just grab a couple more comments. I got to grab Tim Durr. Patriots fans are obnoxious. Tim, it's funny, when they started winning early on, they were very obnoxious. I compared Seattle Seahawks fans, in the late 2000s to the early Patriots fans, because they were obnoxious. But once they started winning and they got their winning ways, they started to get a little bit better. And then the Seahawks fans kind of took their place. But yeah, it was tough to have to listen to people at work, talking about how great they were. So, and then Dom's coming in. At least in New Mexico, you get a lot of Denver Broncos fans. Yeah, absolutely. It's so much better. You get to see all the games. You don't have to have the Sunday NFL ticket or whatever it is to watch the games and things like that. So I enjoy it. I actually am going to hopefully move to Denver in the next year or so. I want to get into the home country, so to speak. So hopefully that will happen, and I'll be able to be around training camp a lot more, around the games a lot more, and I'm looking forward to that. So anyway, I just want to say thank you again. Thank you for the support. Thanks for coming in. I'm going to let you all go. Have a great day, and thank you again for joining, and go Broncos.